Welcome to Title Talk with Kathy Schwartz, Parent Involvement Coordinator for Adams Central. Let's talk about how you can take advantage of title programs and help your student achieve in the classroom.
Welcome to the Title Talk, the October edition. Today's dates to remember. October 14th, that's the Idea Exchange. That's at the cafetorium at 6 p.m. And the topic will be how to talk to teachers. Very important, seems how that is Parent-Teacher Conference Week. So we hope to see you there, 6 p.m. at the cafetorium. October 28th and 29th is a parent orientation for the students who are in Title. This is for parents only, and it's either at 6 p.m. or at 9 a.m. 6 p.m. on the 28th or at 9 a.m. on the 29th. Please try to make that. November 7th, that is Family Fun Night. It's going to be an exciting night. It's Game Board Bonanza. We'll be playing bingo for lots of board game prizes. So reservation slips will be coming home the week of the 21st, and be sure to get those back in to reserve your spot. Now on to the newsletter. The Home and School Connection section had an article called The Secrets of Better Behavior. This is to focus on teaching your child how to behave rather than correcting misbehavior. They gave 3 suggestions. Number 1, be a mirror. Model the behavior you expect from your child. This is example teaches well. Number 2, make rules together. Make your household rules as a group and be sure that your child understands the reason behind each rule. And if there comes a time that you need to change a rule or to add a rule, you should include them also in the process of making that household rule. Also, highlight their successes. Make them be proud that they are following the rules. Give them praise and emphasize the good feelings that they get from behaving well. There was an article that was titled, Mistakes Make Your Brain Grow. If that's true, probably my brain is quite large at this point. But mistakes actually make you learn more. It gives your child, so you must give your child room to mess up, and not only does your child learn of what not to do, but he also will learn that, well, they tried, but they failed, but they need to figure out a different way to do things. Remember, to help your child put mistakes in perspective, try to find that positive slant on whatever happens. The next article is Homework Solutions. They gave us 3 great suggestions. First, find a good schedule. Set a specific time each evening that will be for homework, and then studying becomes a habit and not just a happening. Eliminate distractions. Turn off those electronics and possibly declare a quiet time at your house. And the last one, troubleshoot problems. It says when your child gets stuck, offer to help, but don't give them the answers. Have them try to figure out the answer, how to get the answer. Finding the answer is just as important as getting the answer. In the activity corner, children who form friendships with classmates tend to do better in school. It says, inspire your youngster to treasure those friendships. They created an activity to help your child determine what qualities make up a good friend. First, you design or create a treasure chest, and then in those treasure chests, you put coins. And as you put the coins in, you decide what qualities make up a good friend. Discuss with your child, do they have a friend that has that quality, or what would it look like to have that quality? This is an important item too, the parent-teacher team. It is teaming up with your child's parent is a great way to be involved in your child's education. They suggested to send a note to the teacher if a particular activity that your child was excited about happened that day. Thank them for having that and perhaps encouraging them to have that activity again in the future. And let your child's teacher know that you want to be involved in the classroom. And if you're unable to come to the classroom, perhaps there is something you may do at home for them. Look over the papers that come home, and if you have any questions on how you may help your student, reach out to your teacher and ask them for suggestions. There were 3 short notes in the newsletter. One is to build initiative is so important in your student. When doing a task, ask what is next so that your child can start figuring out what to do next. Also, to build math skills, use estimation in your daily life. In other words, estimate, ask your child how many M&Ms does he think is in the bag, and then count them, things like that. And lastly but not least is the National Fire Prevention Week is in October. And it said, be sure to practice your family evacuation drills. That's very important. Next, we're moving on to the reading connection at the beginning edition. The main article this month was Writing is Practical. Show your child real-life reasons when writing is important. They gave 3 suggestions. Number 1, a to-do list. Have your child write things down to do this week. Put them on sticky notes, and so that's a reminder that they have things to do. 2, have them write reminders for you, and then each morning have them read those reminders to you. And number 3, make a memory book that each night end the day with them writing 3 things that they don't want to forget about today. In the book picks, they gave 4 great suggestions for books. Number 1 is Gymnastics Time. This is a nonfiction book that gives inside look at the world of gymnastics. So if you have a budding gymnast out there, this might be something you want to look into. The next book is We Don't Eat Our Classmates. This is about Penelope Rex, who's a dinosaur, who eats all her classmates the first day of school. No one wants to be her friend. I wonder why. The next one is Space Taxi. Archie Takes Flight. This is the first book in the Space Taxi series, where Archie Morningstar finds out that his dad is just not an ordinary taxi driver, but a driver for aliens. Leads to lots of adventures. The last one, The Full Moon is Rising, is a study in poetry, geography, and culture, because it's a collection of poems about the full moon from all around the world. So this might inspire a budding poet in your family. I Can Learn from Nonfiction is another section in the newsletter. It is telling you to help your child become a fan of nonfiction. One way to do this is explore school subjects in the library. In other words, if they're studying a certain topic in science, such as monarchs, you may want to go to the library and pick a book on butterflies. Also, when you're reading the nonfiction books, be sure to read all the graphics and charts and the captions under the pictures. That might spark further investigation. The Autumn Fine Motor Play section gave suggestions on how to help increase the fine motor skills. That leads to the ability of using a pencil in writing and also scissor cutting. One thing you could do is a pumpkin pin cushion. Have your child simply stick pins in the pin cushion. That helps train the fingers. Make an apple tree, draw an outline of a tree on the piece of paper, and have your child place pom-poms that are red that symbolize apples onto the piece of paper for the apples. That with a pair of tweezers. That helps fine motor skills. Leaf rubbings are always a favorite here during the fall. Is go outside, get a leaf, put it on the table, and put a piece of paper over it. Unwrap a crayon and rub it across the leaf. That makes an excellent activity for the fall. Also, you may take seeds, such as pumpkin seeds, if you're cleaning that pumpkin out for Halloween, dry them and then glue them on a piece of paper to make a sign. They also suggested the word family game. This is where you take a word family such as A-N, O-P, U-G, E-T, and then you take a letter and add it to the beginning of the word. Then you decide, is it a nonsense word or is it a real word? This helped them realize that they can use those word stems or word families to make other words. That finishes up the beginning section of the reading connection, and now we move on to the intermediate section. Words in every subject. Vocabulary is very important to children. Find words in a reading search for the words that they are using at school. Also, use the words and vocabulary they are learning at school in everyday speech. And also play the games with words. Pick a letter in the alphabet and then a subject at school, and then think of the words that pertain to that subject that begin with that letter. For an example, if they're studying bugs in science, and then you fix the letter B, and each child has to think of words that start with B that pertains to bugs. Beetles is one, butterflies, and continue until you can't think of any more. In the intermediate edition, they also have book picks. H is for haiku. That is a really good book. It's a collection of haiku, and it's a perfect book to inspire readers to write their own. The second book is the Hyena Scientists. No, it's not about a book about a hyena that becomes a scientist, but a group of scientists that work in Kenya at a wildlife preserve to save and to study hyenas. It's full of interesting facts. The third book was Out of Left Field. This is set in the 1950s, and it tells the story of a young baseball player, Katie Gordon, who won't take no for an answer and wants to play in a baseball little league. The last book, Knight Kyle and the Magic Silver Lance, is a collection of 13 short stories that will lead the reader to one exciting ending. So you might want to check those out at the library. Our next section is, what shall I read? Have you heard that question over and over again? They suggest to have your child swap a book with a friend, because more likely than not, that friend reads the type of book that your child is. Or have them make a list of their favorite books and then give that to the librarian, and she could help them maybe pick out a book that would be similar. Ways to overcome writer's block. Have you ever heard of I don't know what to write or I'm stumped? Well, have them keep writing. For 10 minutes space, just write down anything that comes through their brain. That might just jog them out of their writing block. Or add something new. If they have a first draft, tell them that is the first draft and that they can always add something. So have them go back, reread, and add. Or if they're stuck at a certain part of the writing, have them skip ahead and write another part of the story. Then go back in and fill in. Or they may just need a break. So tell them to stop for a short time and take a break. All good suggestions for our budding writers. In the Learning to Study, they always give a great suggestion of how to study. And it says, become an active reader. And what they mean there is that you take notes or you talk about information, and then you write down questions and answers for a practice test, all while you are reading this one section. This helps you cement what you are learning into your brain. In the reading models section, they said point out to your child how many times a day that you actually use your ability to read, not just sitting down and reading a book, and emphasize just how important it is that you wouldn't be able to do that activity if you weren't able to read, such as simply driving down the road if you can't read the street signs, or doing a recipe. The cooking might be a little bit different if you couldn't read. That finishes up our section on Title Talk for October. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back. Until then, keep talking.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Title Talk. If you'd like to know more about our programs, please contact the Adams Central Title staff. Until next time, keep talking.